All right. Gotta put my earphones on. Ugh. All right. Ooh. What's up, y'all? It's really cold in here. It's really cold. Ooh. Everybody doing okay? What's cracking? What's cracking, man? I know I shouldn't keep bringing up the Zach incident, but I find it hard to keep defending him. We are not just rebuilding talent-wise, but culture-wise as well, and we shouldn't accept that crap. Yeah, I didn't like that either, bro. I didn't like that either. I saw a comment, Clay, you look cold. Oh, it's cold in here. I would turn the heater on, but I'm content doing this. What was I gonna say? I saw a comment earlier, and it was like, this channel is just so negative now. It's just become a hating channel. I'm gonna unsubscribe. And to that I say, you can unsubscribe without announcing that you're gonna unsubscribe. It's okay. I saw that. So weird. That's so weird. Yeah. No, let's keep on hating. Look, there's certain players, man, where I'm just gonna be honest. Like, if you want me to just sit here and glaze the entire roster all the time and not tell you my like overall thoughts about things, then I don't know, bro. You can do that on your own. You can just praise the team on your own. I'm gonna be honest. And it's not even like the majority of these videos, right? Most of these videos, I'm being pretty positive because I am positive towards the Spurs. It's just a few players, we're still in rebuild mode, and there's a few players that I don't think is part of the future, right? I don't think this team, how it's constructed right now, wins anything. Even Wemby in his prime, even Castle in his prime, even Sohan in his prime, even Fasella in his prime, all those guys in their prime at the same time, this current roster does not win a championship. So there's a few people that got to leave. That's all. It's not even hating, it's just criticism. Plus, it's not like they're immune to criticism. Yeah, I don't get it. Honest question, Clan, why don't you like CP3? I kind of do like CP3. I say I don't supposed to like CP3. I supposed to hate him. Just the years of him battling out with the Spurs, and he doesn't seem like the nicest person in the world. I mean, even in his speech to the team after getting second most assists in NBA history, he said like 5 times, guys, I know I'm hard to work with. So like, I don't know. I think he's easy to dislike, but I've gone on record saying I hope he signs another year with us. I hope it doesn't end this year. How are the Hawks looking? I think they just lost their last game. Let's see here. Yeah, they lost their last game beautifully. They lost by 30. It's just that their competition hasn't been crazy, right? They barely beat the Lakers. They did beat the Bucks. They beat the Pelicans, but we know the Pelicans aren't good. They beat the Hornets. We know the Hornets aren't the best. They beat the Cavs, which that actually is impressive. I'm not going to lie. Wait, who played? Yeah, their whole team played. I'll tell you what's kind of hurting us right now with the Hawks, I think, is Dyson Daniels, because his defense has been kind of incredible. And he was definitely one of the players I wanted in that draft. He was 1 or 2 that I wanted. I can't remember. I think he was my second player I wanted. Hello, bro. I'm a Chinese fan. What do you think the Spurs' goal is this season? Win as many games as they possibly can. I mean, I think it's a few things. I think it's winning as many games as you can, figuring out, what spots work best for Wemby, which is going to be very difficult to do this season without having a proper off season. What else? What's another goal? I think it's just overall development and seeing who fits, right? I think we do have some untouchables now, though. That's Castle, Wemby, Sohan, Vassell. I don't think the Spurs move off of any of those guys. I think they're very untouchable. I don't think the Spurs even have a conversation about moving any of those guys, to be honest with you. Especially Wemby, obviously, but Spurs need a scorer when Wemby's on the bench. And then Killian says they have a few scores. Yeah, they're not really utilizing Malachi that much either. I don't think Mitch Johnson is a big fan of Malachi's game, to be honest with you. As a Spurs fan, I've always respected CP3. He always shown love to Pop and Timmy. He and Timmy had the Wake Forest connection and have always been buddies. Oh, let me make that clear. I've always had respect for CP3. Yeah. It wasn't like a hatred like I had for Zaza Pachulia. I not only do I hate Zaza Pachulia, I also don't respect him. But that's not the same with Chris Paul. I respect Chris Paul. What up, Clan? What up, Yurts? Why are the Hawks better than us? They're not better than us. The Hawks are just playing really good defense, and they're in a weak conference. They're not actually better than us. You see what happened when they go against a Nuggets team that isn't even that great this season. They get whooped by 30. They got beat by 30. So yeah, they're not that good. But I'm pretty sure they're about to go on a losing streak. Let's see. Pretty sure a losing streak is coming. So I already said I don't know how they would do against the Nuggets. They could very well lose to the Knicks. They should lose to us on Thursday. Wait. Oh, next Thursday. Okay. Then they got the Grizzlies. That should be a loss. Timberwolves. That should be a loss. Bulls. They could probably win that one. Heat. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that one. But yeah, it should be quite a few losses we see coming up. So no worries. Let's see what the second half of the season look like. Magic, loss. Knicks, loss. Magic, loss. Pistons, probably a win. Maybe. Heat, I don't know. Heat, I don't know. Thunder, loss. Grizzlies, loss. Bucks ain't gonna lose again. Pacers, I don't know. 76ers. Gosh, this kind of frustrates me because it really looks like they're going to be mediocre, and we don't need them to be mediocre. We need them to be horrible. But they're going to lose a lot. They're going to lose a lot, I think. I saw a trade for Jakob Poeltl. I don't know how to spell his name. And I thought it would be nice to have him as a backup. It would be nice to have Jakob Poeltl back. Yeah. What would the trade entail? Because Jakob Poeltl's, I feel like his trade value is pretty high right now. So we have a few things to talk about. Let me bring that stuff up. There's a few things that I thought were quite interesting. Hold on, let me think it through. Do we go live? Because I do want to go live again soon. Spurs don't play till Friday. So we can go live again Thursday. So let's do about 3 segments. We can do about 3 segments. I think that's fair. Let's see what we got here. I don't think I reposted it. I think I liked it. So let's see here. All right, yeah, it's this. This is awesome. This is actually big news. This is actually great news for the Spurs. Indicates something a little bit bigger, guys. A little bit bigger. Yeah, that's another thing. Maybe we shouldn't go over any press conferences. Have they talked to Steph Castle? I don't think they have. Where's the other thing I saw? I don't think it was a trade. situation. What the heck was it? Oh, I remember. I found it. Or at least I know where to find it. Here we go. Is this recent? Ah, Sebastian, you just brought up one of the segments I wanted to go over. You literally just brought up one of the segments I wanted to go over. See if we have any people talking about our boy. Wait, what? Hold on. They've been asking though. Reported that has been generating interest. This makes sense. That Jones is a premier cast member in the NBA, capable of hitting over shots, starving in transition, and most importantly, standing right in the team defense ceiling. While Jones is still a young player with room to know, somehow the value might be invested in him. Training wouldn't be the worst idea. He can command a greater return than both him and CJ to the team-friendly contract use. Out of hours limited to pay defensive hours players like that. What is Herb Jones' trade value? Wouldn't only person generating interest. I have no idea what his trade value is. Do you guys know what his trade value is? It's talking about what I would be willing to give up. It's really tough if I don't know. Let's see. King's ideal trade target. All right. So what would a King's trade look like? What would the Pelicans be looking for, you think? Has only played 7 games this year. But is back on the court, averaging He shot 37 Questions around starting spots and rotations would arise by adding a player like everyone just keeps saying like, oh yeah, I would add him to my roster, but what exactly would you give up? Or what exactly would they be asking for? Give them what they asked for. I really like KJ. Everyone likes KJ. While most odds are Jones already began reaching out. All right. All right. I don't know what the asking price is. Okay. All right. I have no idea. It's hard to say. Feels like the Pelicans are kind of incompetent and they might take Malachi. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not 100% sure. All right. I'm not 100% sure what Sick Road Clan. It's just a blanket. It usually goes on my couch. Okay. All right. Okay, so not saying that this is going to happen. All right, it's not being reported that it's going to happen, but it is being reported that teams are asking about Herb Jones. So if you guys have not heard, teams are on the phone trying to contact the Pelicans to see the availability of Herb Jones. I don't think the Pelicans have made it known yet whether or not he's available, but it is making his rounds around. Okay, so what's my thoughts on this? Because there's a lot of players that pop up and people talk about like, oh, maybe the Spurs should go for him, right? Like I saw people saying LaMelo Ball, which, I mean, a lot of the packages that I saw where people said that we should try to go after him, I don't necessarily think it was bad packages, right? I definitely thought LaMelo Ball is worth, like, you know, those few firsts and a few of our young guys. Like, obviously he's worth that. But I just wouldn't do it, especially with this upcoming draft coming, with the amount of promise that Stephon Castle has shown. It will be nice, but I don't necessarily think it's necessary, right? But Herb Jones is one of those players that I feel like, I mean, I just don't think you would have to give up a ton, right? In the context of what the Spurs have, right? So I saw a lot of people saying they would not give up 2 firsts, which I understand that. Like you want to hold on to your first as much as humanly possible. But we do have a lot of them, right? We definitely have a lot of them. For instance, even the Chicago one, if it doesn't convey this season, it goes into 2026. We have a swap with Atlanta for a 2026 pick. So maybe that would be something they would be interested in. Could we just give them that swap? I don't know. We have our own 2026, but I don't think that our first round pick in 26 is going to be that strong. I expect the Spurs to be much better. We would expect them to be much better. But the 2026 draft, we have like 500 second round picks, right? You got 2 more first round picks in 2027. I mean, you have a lot. You have a lot. You got 2 more first round picks in 2028. I mean, and look at all the second round picks they have. And the Spurs are not going to convey all of these second round picks. It's just not going to happen. They don't care to use all of these. It wouldn't make any sense. We wouldn't have enough roster spots for that. All right. We don't have a big enough team for development for all of that. Like, that would be a lot of second round picks. So that's probably not going to happen. They're going to trade those off and see what they can do in these drafts. So the question being, what would I give up? And honestly, guys, there's only a few players on this team that I feel are untouchable, right? And that would be Sohan, that would be Vassell, that would be Wemby, and that would be Castle. Like, those 4 guys, I don't think that you touch them, right? I mean, Wemby, I mean, I don't have to think that I know that, right? But the other 3, I don't think that you touch them. I don't think that, you know, the Spurs would even entertain that. But Herb Jones is a player of need. He fits the mold of what we have. We need a small forward. I know Harrison Barnes is totally fine for now, but everyone knows he's a placeholder, right? This isn't a long-term deal. And yeah, he's a good supporting cast member. He can get to the rim. I know people have brought up his 3-point shooting this season, but he only played 7 games and 29%. But overall, he shoots 37% from 3. So I think that he is the perfect prototype of what the Spurs would need at that small forward position. Can you find that in the upcoming drafts? Obviously you can. But if he's on the market, if he's available, I don't see any reason not to pursue it. As far as what I would be willing to give up, just right off the top of my dome. Ooh, excuse me. There's a few players, right? I don't want to just be that guy, but Keldon, I would be willing to give up Keldon for Herb Jones. I'll be willing to give up Malachi, I don't think we really use him that much, right now. Now that will probably be a big asking price, honestly. I think teams do recognize the potential of Malachi there. But obviously Keldon Johnson being a pretty big name, you probably could get away with that. You said I'm keeping Keldon, give Malachi. I'm just trying to think through what would be what kind of offers would they be getting, I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough. But I'm definitely willing to give away a couple young guys along with a first round, right? Maybe 2 is a little too much. Not a little, maybe it's a lot too much. But I'm probably willing to give up a first. That's just my first thought on it. I do think that this is one of those players when we talk about who should the Spurs target. This is one that I think is a solid one, right? I don't think it's high risk, high reward, right? I think it's high reward, low risk, honestly. So, yeah. Chat, you vibing with that or not so much? It's totally fine if people come out of this and say, no, I'm not giving them up. As far as right now, the only thing that we've seen is the Kings, being in the conversation. But we do know that teams have been calling the Pelicans to ask about it. And it would be silly to not think that the Spurs are on the phone, right? They're on the phone about this. There's no way around it. I don't know anything personally, but that would just be crazy to me if they weren't. Especially when that's a point of need for us. Hey girl, what you doing? You always so you don't know what's going on. Why you do that? She don't know what's going on. Anyways, I don't know. I'm vibing with it. I think we need this if defense is what we're going for. The Spurs are undoubtedly that's undoubtedly their identity at this point is defense. They're hanging their hats on defense. One of the better defensive teams in the league. I feel like we've fell off a little bit over the last couple weeks, but that's probably mostly due to the fact that we had so many injuries. But yeah, undoubtedly defense is what you lean on. It only makes sense. You have some very good defensive players on this roster. You need to lean into that and be the best defensive team in the NBA. You want to be suffocating in those fourth quarters when it gets close, where the team it's literally up to us on the offensive end because the opposing team can't do anything on their offense. All right, you getting stuck on my court? Oh, she getting stuck on my court. Hold on, Meeks. Say bye. You're sleepy. I don't know why you're up here. Don't go back up here. Don't do that. All right. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. That's who's available right now. And yeah, it'll be a big one. So don't look at his stats right now. I know that, it's probably very enticing to say, okay, well, how is he doing this season? He has not played. Okay. Coming off injury, has not played. But overall, he has a lot of promise, a lot of still upside to go. But I don't think Herb Jones becomes like a star or superstar or anything, but I think he is a point of need for us. Oh, also, if you're wondering how much he makes, I believe it's about 13 million, maybe. Let's see. I think it's 13. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, Herb Jones salary for 23-24 season, 12 million. He signed a 4-year, 53. There you go, with the average annual salary of 13.4. So yeah, so those are my thoughts right there. I would miss Keldon's energy, but I think he has been a bit stale lately. He's gonna always have injuries. He's gonna always have energy. And he's always brought energy. I feel like even if he goes to another team, he's going to be totally fine. It's not one of those situations where I think Keldon is a bad player. I don't. I think Keldon is a very good player. It's just too often than not, I don't know if he fits with the squad. When he goes back a little bit, when he calms down a little bit, and he just plays a What am I trying to say? I'm blanking. My brain is blanking. It's really late right now. What time is it? 1 a.m. Good God, why are we live streaming this late? A role player role or whatnot. I don't know. I could have came up with a better name for that. When he's more of a role player and he tones it down. As far as the let me get the ball, go straight into the paint. Let me try to do way too much. He's actually a really great player. When he's a role player, he's a really great player. It's just too often than not, he thinks that's it's just a tendency. It's a tendency he's had since college. So I don't know. I know none of that made sense. I'm very sleepy. I like Keldon, but he'd have to be surrounded by a lot of good defenders. Yeah. I thought KJ's been great this year. Dude got on my nerves last year though, with his lack of court vision. Yeah. It's been times this season where he's really toned it down and was just a role player, and he looked really good, right? But defense has been consistently really bad. I can't really point to a game in which I thought his defense was great. Team defense, that is. Keldon has no passing and defense. Yeah. His passing is okay. I'm not expecting it to be on the level of Devin Vassell or Castle or nothing like that. But the defense, man, it's really bad. And the tendencies offensively can be really bad. It's I don't know. I don't want anybody on the roster where I sit back and I say, do not finish the game with this player. And I feel like I do that way too often with Keldon. You shouldn't really feel that way with any player, really, you know? I mean, maybe if you have, when you have Wembanyama and, you know, the only player you have coming off the bench is Bassey. Maybe not sit Wemby for Bassey, right? But, yeah, I don't know. Keldon can't defend, plays hero ball, can't pass. Like, bro, don't want to accept the fact that he's a role player. I think he knows he's a role player. It's just a tendency. That's the thing. When you have certain tendencies and you've had them since college or probably high school. I didn't watch Keldon Johnson in high school. It just stays with you. It just kind of stays with you, you know? I feel like he's had times this season where he toned it down and he looked really good. But, you know, it's just a habit. He really does believe sometimes that's our best chance to win. It's like, I see one guy under the paint, I'm going to go for it, right? I don't think Keldon is a selfish player. I don't think that he wants to be the guy, right? I'm not trying to create a narrative around it. It's just with his tendencies, it doesn't work with what the Spurs need right now. They're much better when they're passing the ball and when they're playing more team-oriented basketball, which he can do that, but I don't know how consistent that's going to be because of those tendencies. I'd be praising Keldon if his vision and defense was average, but unfortunately it's so bad it outweighs any good that he does. The defense is really bad. But hey, this isn't a Keldon Johnson hate segment or anything, but you know, if you ask me what would I be willing to give up, yeah, quite a bit. He's been less reckless lately. Yeah, I feel like after that game where CP3 and Barnes got onto him, he toned it down a little bit, but it's still those tendencies come up. I just haven't really been complaining about it a lot. But yeah, sorry, sloppy segment. I'm really sleepy. Moving on. Moving on down. Okay, this is kind of cool. Guys, how do you pronounce AJ Dibansta? Dibansta. That's how you say it, right? Dibansta? Make sure I spell it right in here. Dibansta. Is that right? That sounds right. I think it's Dibansta. So this is actually crazy news. So give me a second. Here we go. Saying Keldon hasn't accepted his role is proof you don't watch games. He is live on the bench and seems to enjoy his role. Who said that? Are you responding to this? That says KJ could have transformed to role player, but unfortunately he sees himself a 2 or 3 option. I just don't think that's the case. I think he knows he's a role player. It's just those tendencies he has. He genuinely thinks when he has the ball that that's the best option. It's hard to break habits when you've been doing them since college. You know, that's just who you are. That's just the player you are. I don't think personality wise that he's trying to be selfish or nothing, right? Like I think DeJounte Murray legitimately was a selfish player. Like certain players would be hot and he would just go away from them. But I don't think that's the case with Keldon. If he accepted his role, he wouldn't play hero ball in every game. I feel like he's attempting not to, but those tendencies still pop up. I don't know. I don't think he has the most like self-awareness on the court, to be honest with you. When he realizes he messed up, it's usually too late. But I don't think he's selfish or nothing. I guess it doesn't really matter. The outcome's the outcome, right? The only difference we have is what psyche does Keldon have. I just think it's, I don't know. For lack of better words, he's just a silly goose. He's just a silly goose. That's correct. He's just a silly goose. Okay. Yeah, when he's in competitive game or it's clutch time, you know, that's when it's a problem. And I just don't like that because I think Keldon Johnson talent, well, I should have said this in the other segment because I'm a post that and people are going to be upset. Talent wise, he's way too talented to just avoid having him in the game in the fourth quarters, you know, in a clutch game. He's way too talented. He's going to take up a certain amount of cap space, right? Just because of his talent alone. And I don't think he's under or overpaid by any stretch of the imagination, mind you. But he's so talented that I don't think like you can't just afford. I don't want to just avoid playing Keldon in fourth quarters, right? He demands a certain piece of your team. He can't just play the role of I don't know who's a role player coming off the bench right now. I mean, City Sissoko doesn't even play. Mamu, right? He's better than Mamu. You have to have him in the court in some capacity. I don't want to avoid playing him, but that's what you have to do in the fourth quarter. Sometimes you have to avoid playing him. KJ has come up clutch when it's mattered. As many times you can say he came up clutch, there's many times where he has hurt momentum, stopped momentum, and ruined fourth quarters, especially last season. This season, I think that Chris Paul and company kind of makes up for it a little bit. Now, Keldon, and it doesn't mean that he's not clutch. It's just that he has really bad tendencies. He goes 150% all the time. Now, the last few games, I feel like he's been pretty good of toning it down. But I'm fearful of those tendencies coming back, man. It shouldn't have took this long, you know, to have a few games where I feel like he's played smart. You know? I don't know. All right, guys. But let me tell you something. This is some actual great news. I personally think this is a big deal. Okay? And if I've been saying his name wrong this entire time, chat, you can correct me. All right? So this is chat's fault if I've been saying it. I don't think I have. I might have. I don't know. I'm bad with names. AJ Dibansta. Hopefully I said it right. So he says he has some preferred teams on his list. Orlando Magic. We don't care about that. We don't care about Orlando. The San Antonio Spurs. He wants to play for the San Antonio Spurs. So if you're wondering who this is a phenomenal prospect, guys. I mean, top tier prospect. Not in this upcoming draft, but 2026. He is going to be absolutely nasty. When you talk about a player, and whether or not they have flaws, he really doesn't have one. You can name something, and I'll say, yeah, he's pretty elite at that. Other than passing, top pick, yeah, he's going to be first overall pick, 2026, no doubt about it. What's his position? He's kind of. I've seen him play power forward, small forward. He's kind of he's just a forward overall. But let's see, AJ Mintz. I wonder where they're going to put him in college. He's 17 at the moment. Let's see, versatile forward. Yeah, that's how I see him. Let's see what they got him as. They got him as a forward and a guard. Forward and a guard. He's 6'9". Forward and a guard. So as far as Spurs needs, you know that we're gonna need a small forward sooner than later. And yeah, he's that. Super versatile, guys. So I saw a lot of people comparing him, or I see a lot of people comparing him to Paul George, and I think he's gonna be better than that. I know that's crazy to say, but I truly do believe he's gonna be better than that. So if you're wondering what he's good at everything other than passing, but you know that can get better. He's no slouch when it comes to shooting as well, but that can improve. I feel like his shooting is a little slow. His shot form is a little slow. I heard my cat. I was trying to make sure she wasn't jumping up here. So if you go to NBADraft.net, right? You don't have to take my word for it. All right. They are very conservative when it pertains to their comparisons. Okay. They're not going to just compare you to anybody. Very conservative. And they're conservative with their points as well. He basically got an A on everything. Athleticism, size, defense, strength, quickness, leadership, jump shot, NBA ready, ball handling, potential, passing, intangibles. And he's our type of guy. He doesn't do anything too fancy, right, with his ball handling, but he gets to his spots, right? He doesn't have to overcomplicate it. Their comparison, oh, Sebastian just said in the chat, I think he's a mix of T-Mac and SGA. Kind of ridiculous, guys. So the reason why I bring this up, I'm not bringing this up because it's obvious that, it's obvious the Spurs are going to get him in 2026. The NBA can't just keep allowing us to get away with this, right? 2025, we should have some pretty decent picks. 2026, obviously, we have Atlanta's swap. They have no reason to just tank, right? So if that's still on the table, they're going to try their best just to play well. They have no reason not to. And then I think the Spurs will be pretty decent in 2026. So as far as will we get them, I don't know. I don't think that that's possible. I think undoubtedly, unless something crazy happens, I hope nothing happens, but he's going to be a first overall pick. So the reason why I bring this up is because he's saying something that I think, he's 17 years old. He's saying something that I think a lot of NBA players just can't say right now, and that's they want to play for San Antonio. They want to play with Wemby. And the fact that the Spurs have kind of created a reputation for themselves. We already know the Orlando Magic has, but the Spurs kind of created a reputation for themselves. I can't speak. I'm sleepy. 1 o'clock in the morning. For being a defensive team. And this player, who is undoubtedly a two-way, recognizes that one of his best chances to shine is with the Spurs. Magic makes sense. And now the Spurs are becoming in that category. So, in that conversation. So, I just think this is a big deal. I think that this is, while it seems very small, I don't think this is very small. Okay. I think that this speaks to a lot of attitudes around basketball and wanting to play for the San Antonio Spurs. It'd be very hard, almost impossible. Yeah, getting the first overall pick in 2026. I don't see how we do that. I don't see. Luckily for us, 2025 has a lot of depth, a ton of depth, right? So if you get knocked out of the lottery, let's say, Chicago Bulls, that maybe we get kicked all the way to the 15, right? I think it's still decent. It's still good. So I'm not really worried. 2026, I don't really see an avenue for this unless you do some crazy trades. I was talking to my boy Swish Hill, and I was like, just hypothetically, what would you give up for AJ? My boy said, man, I would give up. His words, not mine. Okay, but I do know he's the real deal. He was like, man, I would give up 3 or 4 first round picks and like 3 or 4 young guys for AJ. But yeah, and the talk around town, guys, no flaws really. Absolutely no flaws. Perfect prospect, gonna be the first overall pick easily, and he wants to be a San Antonio Spur. Very big deal. Very big deal. So yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Giving up several firsts and all of our young guys. Yeah. It's nice, man. It's nice. So we'll see what comes out of this, but I'm not holding my breath. If you guys are interested in, taking a look at AJ, you can go to NBAdraft.net and take a look at the pros and weaknesses. But hey, just at a glance, you can see that the strengths is a whole page long and the weaknesses is a couple words. He's really impressive. He's very impressive. So yeah, perfect player what the Spurs would need. But hey, probably won't happen, but people want to be a Spur, man. They want to be a San Antonio Spur. Let's see. Sohan for sale and any pick someone can want. Okay, now you're just kind of defeating the purpose, right? I want to add him because of our already great defense, right? I don't want to get rid of our defense and then add AJ. They're part of the package. They're part of the package. And as far as young guys, so I don't put words in Switch's mouth. He was not talking about our 4. Okay, he wasn't talking about Wemby, Castle, Fasell, or Sohan. And if he did say that, I would have disagreed. I'm not doing that. AJ and Wemby has a nice ring to it. Remember, Alex Sarr was going number 1, but didn't want to go to Atlanta, so maybe we can get him. No. Some players are so good that it doesn't matter. No. Keep in mind that this last draft, the talent gap wasn't that crazy from the first to the second, from the second to the third to the fourth. I mean, the talent gap was pretty close throughout the lottery, right? It wasn't this huge drop off in talent necessarily. I mean, people said that Castle is kind of a sleeper. Like, oh, whoa, what the heck? People are confused on how good he is. What the heck's going on? Because the talent level just wasn't popping out to anybody, right? I don't know. Will I have to look at, or is there any competition in 2026? We'll have to look at that at a future date. I haven't looked deep into the 2026 draft. But what I do know is this player is good enough where I just don't think there'll be comp as far as who gets first overall. As long as he stays healthy, I don't think there will be competition. I feel like Fasell is bordering on an injury-prone, unavailable type player. Why did you say that? I don't want to agree. I don't want to agree because I think he's played. Okay, I know this isn't technically part of the segment. We'll end it on this. I feel like Devin Vassell has played quite a few games. Maybe our need for him is so high that we're kind of prone to think that he's injury prone, that he's like never there. But I don't think that's the case. Let's see. So last season, we didn't have him for about a little bit more than 10 games. Season before that, okay, we didn't have him at all. Really. The season before that, we had him for quite a bit. And his rookie season, we had him for quite a bit. I think he's all right. I think he's all right. I won't give him that tag yet. I don't think that's fair to give him that tag yet. Let's see what happens for the rest of the season. I agree. Devin Vassell hasn't even played any playoff minutes, and he can't even survive the regular season. I'm a hold off judgment on that one, guys. I'm gonna try to be positive when it comes to Devin. And keep in mind, this season it was a lingering. I guess this isn't gonna help my case, but it was a lingering injury from last season, right? I don't think there was anything new. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Was there anything new that Devin Vassell was dealing with? I'm pretty sure it was lingering from last season. Does that matter? I guess it doesn't really make a difference. We should draft Wemby's brother. We should just draft Wemby again. He's bordering, not yet. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Any other thoughts about this segment before we end it? See if I missed anything. They have so many picks they can trade up for. I think the Spurs should make the move, include picks and players. Okay. I just don't remember any of our big three dynasty being injury prone so young and early in their careers, and they played a ton of games, playoffs, and country games. You're kind of right. Yeah, you're kind of right. I feel like Manu was hurt sometimes, but yeah. Dude, I remember one year when Tony went down and Manu had to run like point guard. I think Manu was running point guard. Man, Manu went off. It was a stretch. He was just murdering teams. It was so impressive. I can't remember what year that was though. Was that 2011? No, it couldn't have been 2011. When was it? I don't know. No, it doesn't matter. I'm late. All the juicy topics have already been done. Hey, it's all right. Anyways, ending segment. All right. All right, yeah, let me bring something up because someone made me mad. What's happening? Nothing right now. Give me a second. Draft prospect. What are they talking about? Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. What the heck was that talking about? All right, let's track some stuff. Profile, tracking, shots, passes. All right, here we go. All right, so this shouldn't be said, but I feel like I have to bring this up. So I've been seeing a few people, okay, on Spurs Twitter in particular. It's a very, very terrible place, okay? If you've never been there, I encourage you to stay away. Quite a few people, all right, saying that they don't necessarily believe that Stephon Castle is a great playmaker, that the Spurs need to still find their future point guard. And I'm totally content with the idea of finding a future point guard, right? Because Stephon Castle is so versatile. He can be moved to the 2. He can even be moved to the 3, right? That's something that we haven't seen a lot this season, but you can do that because of his size, because of his versatility in that regard. But one thing I will not be okay with is anyone saying that our boy Steph Castle is not a prominent playmaker in the NBA. There was actually another post, and I had a hard time finding it, but it was top playmakers in the NBA or rookies, and he was number 1 on that one as well. Let me see if I can find that really quick, because there's no way you genuinely believe that. Let's see here. Is it this? I'm trying not to show any names of people going back and forth with this. Here we go. Found it. The top 10 rookies in playmaking talent. Steph Castle, number 1. So this shouldn't have to be said, but I will say it, okay? I will say it. His versatility has actually been incredible. I saw some people saying like, well, he only passed to Wemby, or he only passed to Julian Champagnie, and that's it. I think that that's very foolish. You can look at the stats and see that that is not true whatsoever. So obviously his most of his pass, 20% of his pass goes to Chris Paul, and that's not actually setting up Chris Paul, obviously, right? They just kind of play off of each other and they set up the offense. So I don't think that that's anything crazy. And then to also show that that's not anything crazy, here let's just do totals. Just to prove it, he only has 2 assists to Chris Paul, right? So it's whatever. But you can look around and see how great he's actually been. So as far as who gets the ball from him, you got Victor Wembanyama with 12% of the passes that he passes and 17 assists to Vic. About 12% to Harrison as well, 11 assists. About 11% to Zach Collins, and you can see 9 assists. Keldon Johnson, 10%, and you can see 13 assists. Julian Champagnie, 9%, and you can see that he has 13 assists. And it's just distributed. Oh my God, I'm sleepy. It's too late. Distributed pretty nicely, right? Jeremy Sohan hasn't played a ton, but he has 6 assists to Jeremy, right? 6 assists to Malachi. Malachi hasn't played a ton. So I just think it's very silly to look at these games and come away with saying that he hasn't been versatile or he hasn't been a good playmaker. He's undoubtedly been a great playmaker and undoubtedly should be considered as one of our primary point guards in the future. And the fact that he's this young and having this amount of distribution is extraordinarily impressive, in my opinion. But yeah, Any Kid says Castle is a dog. He sees his game taking after SGA. If he wants it, he'll get there with some seasoning. As much as fans complain about the roster, you got to admit we're a lot deeper this year. Oh, undoubtedly we're deeper this year. I feel like the Spurs well, I'm just going to say Mitch Johnson. I feel like he's really been able to utilize the strengths off the bench pretty well. It seems like he is a little reluctant, or more reluctant than I thought, with playing Malachi and Blake. But when the time is needed, he definitely will put Blake Wesley in there, right? And the time needed, he'll definitely put Mamu in there. But yeah, you can experiment quite a bit with that bench, and you've been somewhat successful. I feel like we've been somewhat successful. With all the injuries, it's kind of hard to gauge how good this team actually is. But I still believe they can beat just about anybody. I don't see many teams beating them when they're on their game, hitting on all cylinders. Same personnel, but better energy. It's not the same personnel, right? It's not the same personnel. Yeah, it's not the same personnel as well at all. The addition of Chris Paul and Barnes and Castle cannot be understated. Cannot be overstated. I mean, Castle and Trae Young can coexist. Castle and anyone can coexist, honestly. True, CP3, Barnes, and Castle. Doug, good point. Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same personnel. I mean, that's actually a big deal. Like, look at the Spurs roster here. Spurs roster 2022-23. Or what am I doing? It would be 23-24. 23-24. Let's see here. Yeah, we can go to ESPN. Why not? Okay, ESPN just showed this year's roster. Let's not go to ESPN. Let's go to Basketball Reference. Yeah, look at this. This is completely different. Completely different roster. As far as guys that actually play. So Doug McDermott and Chetty Osman, we had to lean on Doug McDermott a lot. But that right there, you take away those two players, their defense isn't the best, and you add some defensive-minded players. A very high IQ player in Chris Paul, who's no slouch on the defensive end, and Steph Castle, who is already one of our best defenders on the team. So those two are gone, and you add those additions. You had no small forward whatsoever last season. Julian Champagnie had to do that, and I don't think he did a horrible job or anything, but it wasn't the best, right? And now you have Barnes in that position, and you can move Julian to more of a natural, shooting guard. How he's been playing, he can play small forward a little bit, but he's not a great forward, I don't think. Yeah, it's a big swing, I think, this season. I do miss Dominic Barlow, but yeah, it was hard to see how he fit for a while. Osman could have helped right now. He is a high basketball IQ player, and yeah, he could help right now, but we're good. We're all right. Big swing. I think this is a big swing. Nowhere near championship ready or anything, and only time will tell. But yeah, Castle would benefit from developing a little floater. Would limit those offensive fouls in traffic. Dude, he gets fouled. I know there's some offensive fouls he's gotten, but he gets fouled so often going to the rim. And unfortunately, we're just going to have to wait till refs can recognize that he's getting fouled. I don't know. It seems incompetent at this point. I don't understand. I don't know why you have to be a certain year in your career to get foul calls. I don't understand that. It should just be routine foul calls. Rookie no call. He gets no calls. And I feel like we got into the point where we just accept that, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it. Why would he not get calls if he's getting fouled? Why are the refs giving him a welcome to the NBA moment? What are we doing? Rookies don't get foul calls. It's stupid. It's silly. It's silly. Just call the game how it is. If he's getting fouled, he's getting fouled, Well, there you go. Muhammad says, last 2-minute report against the Pelicans mentioned 2 uncalled fouls on Castle. It was so obvious. Refs try to straight up rob us last game. I don't get it. I don't understand that. We've gotten used to it, right? We're like, oh, well, he's just a rookie. Why is that even something that should be debated? If you got fouled, you got fouled. Nothing new? Yeah, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. Refs probably betting on games. They catch them pretty quick. I know you're probably joking, but they catch them pretty quick, and that's not happening. All right. Let's end this segment. Let's end it. All right. Now, what we've all been waiting for. Not really. I'm trying to see if there's any post game that we want to take a look at. Wemby's whistle is trash too. Yeah, Wemby's is pretty bad too. Nowhere near as bad as Castle's, though. Harrison Barnes? Guys, do we want to listen to Harrison Barnes? I think we want to listen to Harrison Barnes. You want to do a twofer? Cheers from San Antonio. What up? All right, let's do a twofer. We'll do Harrison Barnes and we'll do Devin Vassell. That is not in my headphones. Dre, there's no snare in my headphones. Have you ever been hated or discriminated against? I have. Protested and demonstrated against. Here we go. You guys can't hear a word, and you didn't say anything. I just realized it. I got you, though.
Enjoying this sort of break, I guess. You don't usually get these many days in a row without a game. The NBA.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I think, for us, we actually have a lot of guys who are trying to get 100% healthy. So this break kind of is happening at a perfect time for us.
Did it feel like it felt like Mitch was gonna have to put on a jersey last game? Everyone was falling left and right, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before.
We need to know, is Zach Collins okay?
Have so many different things happen. Obviously, Zach falling on his back, Steph getting cracked, KJ, just different things like that. But I was proud of our
yeah, is Keldon okay too?
Just finding a way to win. Obviously, guys stepping up big. Bassey having a great game, things like that. I thought that was great win for us.
It seemed like I feel like Steph showed some guts to get back. I mean, it seemed like he was really hurt when he left that game. Then he comes back and it's kind of the same as he ever was. It seemed like.
Yeah, no, Steph is obviously an extremely tough kid. Man, a few words. You ask him how's he doing. He's just like, all right. You know what I mean? Just kind of shook it
I
up.
love that. Man of few words. We knew that already. Okay, we knew that already. But I don't know. I don't know where the Spurs create these players. They have some lab somewhere. It's kind of ridiculous.
I kept going, but I think he just always wants to be out there and always wants to play. And, I think that's just how competitive he is. No matter how he's feeling, he's going to punch it out there.
It wasn't that it just that he came back in, but I mean his usage rate stayed up. I mean he's staying in control of the offense these days. What's impressed you the most as his season has progressed?
I think just his poise. I feel like each game he's taking on just a greater responsibility, whether it's the defensive matchups that he's had to have, whether it's offensively, plays that he's had to make. Even as a rookie, kind of playing through some of those things, right? So whether it's like, you have a turnover, towards the later end of the game, or you make a big shot, or you miss a shot, or whatever, you get defensive play, all those different types of things. I think he's showing a lot of poise, just navigating all of those situations.
I feel like he's been more consistently good than having rookie mistakes, right? Like even when he messes up, on the offensive end, which is going to happen, right? He's not 100% comfortable in that role yet, but yeah, even when that's a mistake, he still locks in, man. He absolutely locks in on the defensive end. Nothing gets him down, right? It doesn't turn into a domino effect for him. Like he can make one mistake, and we're pretty confident. I think Chris Paul said this, right? Didn't Chris Paul say that he's the most confident when Castle has the ball in his hands, or when he's on the court with Castle? It was something in that regard. But you can feel it. You can definitely feel it. Like when he's out there, everything's okay. Everything's calm. Even if he makes a mistake, I'm sitting back and I'm like, it's going to be all right, right? It's going to be totally fine.
For the first time.
Mitch has had the reins here now for about a month. So,
by the way, I felt that way with Kawhi as well when we had Kawhi. So definitely Kawhi vibes.
In that time, have you seen him do anything to put his own stamp on things?
I don't think it's necessarily about trying to put your own stamp on things, but I think the thing that has impressed me the most with Mitch is just his confidence. And obviously, it's a tough seat to fill, for any period of time. But I think he's just come in with just the utmost confidence, just how he's run things, how he's operated things, how he's coaching games, just a level of, I think, even keel mentality he's had, win or lose. I think that's just been probably the most impressive thing for me.
What, if anything, did you know about him before you came here? I mean, I guess you guys don't scout assistant
Would Harrison Barnes know anything about Mitch Johnson?
coaches all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
Has he played in the summer league? No, he wouldn't have.
Different people who I've known who've played for this franchise, things like that have had spoken highly of Mitch. But I think to actually see it under the circumstances that it wasn't like we all came into the season and said, okay, he's going to be, coaching us to begin with. It was just kind of something that happened very quickly, and then he just, like I said, done a great job of just acclimating to that, making sure that we don't feel any drop off or anything's different, just in terms of how we operate and go from there.
How do you talk about his confidence? I think we can probably see on the court how a player's confidence shows itself, but when you talk about confidence from a coach, how does that manifest itself on the sideline or like in the...
What a great question. This was the question that was in my head. I like this.
huddle?
I think it's just a level of conviction in terms of what you do. Late game plays, in-game adjustments, practice plans, shoot around, all that type of stuff. You never get the sense that he's second-guessing himself. You don't get the sense that he doesn't have full control and grasp of what he's done. Whether you said, look, this is his first time being an extended head coach or he's been doing this for 10 years, there's not any difference in terms of how he approaches things. So I think, like I said, that's a testament to him just in terms of his confidence in his coaching ability as well as the staff to continue to keep this thing moving in the right direction.
I bet CP3 becomes a coach after he retires. I never get excited about any player becoming a coach once they retire. I mean, you've had some really great ones, but you also had some really terrible ones. I just don't get that too excited. Coaching is one thing. Coaching on the court is a whole nother thing when you're just balling with the boys. I don't know. I'll say it with my whole chest. I think Tim Duncan was a horrible coach. I don't think Tim Duncan was a good coach at all. I feel like Tim Duncan's aura is what drove him, or what drove guys to listen to him or whatnot. But I mean, even when he was coaching, he wasn't even making the calls. I think Becky Hammond made the calls at those games where Pop purposely got himself ejected. I don't know. I don't get too excited about players becoming coaches. No, it can be great. It has been great at times, but it's also been really bad at times too. But yeah.
Harrison, during the 3-game losing streak, your stats were slashed probably in half numbers-wise. Was that because Victor was out and you got more attention, or was there some other, because after the last game when Victor came back, you were right back up to those, player of the week type numbers?
Well, I mean, I think I just enjoy playing with Victor, right? I mean, it makes the game a lot easier. So that's the statement. But no, I think in general, anytime I can just I can play better, I think it has a better chance of us winning. I've said before, a lot of my shots are based off how the ball is moving in our offense. So I think when the ball is static, when things are going there as a collective, right, my stats are going to be lower. I think when we're moving, we're playing, we're flowing, my stats just happen to be a beneficiary of that.
This is an ideal type role player, mind you.
Of that offense. So I think for us, it's just a matter of, like I said, just continue to move the ball. We give it from side to side. Based on how our team is, any given night, we can get it going. We'll have different nights where somebody will score and things like that. But I think in that 3-game slide, offensively and defensively, we just weren't as consistent as we've been for the season.
So is that an area you've been concentrating on, just defensive stuff?
I think it's, as defense, but it's also moving, right? I think anytime we kind of just isolate on one side of the floor, and not necessarily an ice situation, but in a pick and roll, our guys aren't moving, or we're not getting, different type of cuts.
That's odd because players are actually good coaches. I don't know. I mean, they are. We have JJ Redick, who's been a pretty decent coach. You got Ty Lue, who's been a decent coach. Yeah, I don't know. I just usually don't get too hype about it because it can go either way. Because we've had some really bad ones. I guess most recently we've had some good ones, right? But I don't know. I'm not saying he will be a terrible coach or anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm really basing this off of Duncan the most. Steve Kerr. Yeah, Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is another one. How many superstar... I guess this is the question I have. And maybe it's just a vibe right now, right? I'm totally willing to admit I'm wrong. how many superstar caliber players have went on to be good coaches that attempted and end up being good coaches? Because it seems like a lot of times it's, I don't know, it seems like a lot of times it's role players that come out to end up being really great. Doc Rivers. Is it controversial to say I don't really like Doc Rivers as a coach? He does have a championship, though. Jason Kidd, Doc Rivers, Jason Kidd. 7. I count. You count. Did you just count? No.
I think that's when our offense can get bogged down.
Lately, you guys have had some slow starts, I would say, even in some
Carolina?
of the wins.
I think Carolina's trying to.
Is there any common threads, anything you guys have diagnosed that has led into that?
I think it starts with just shot quality. Shot quality, turnovers.
Probably because role players spend so much time watching and analyzing games from the bench. Yeah.
And then defensively communicating. We always have those couple plays at the beginning of the game where we don't communicate a switch or we don't communicate a pick and roll. Somebody kind of gets an easy dunk or an easy shot, right? And then you kind of have to play with that as the game goes on, right? Someone just getting an easy start to the game. Offensively, maybe you're a little careless. The first play of the game, you go over and shoot around more likely. You go over it in timeout. You go over it once again after the huddle right before you go out there. So little things like that, attention to detail. We shouldn't mess the play up. We shouldn't turn the ball over. Things like that. So I think for us, it's just being sharper in those moments.
Harrison, not sure if you already talked about this, but now that Jeremy's back, can you speak on how the team's been able to adapt now that he's back with you guys?
Yeah, Jeremy's great. He's one of our best defenders, one of our best rebounders. Does an unbelievable job cutting, off the ball, especially in the two-man game with him and Chris. So, obviously, it's great to have him back out there. He gives us a lot on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. And look forward to continuing to just have him be out there.
Gosh, he answered questions so clearly. It's ridiculous. He's so good at this. Not super. Phil Jackson, not superstar, but played in the NBA. Larry Bird won Coach of the Year, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just like this bias I've always had when it comes to that. I could be completely wrong. I just personally never got excited when people were like, "What if Manu comes back and coaches?" I'm like, "Does he want to?" It's like, "What if Tony comes?" Like, "Does he want to?" It's like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan doesn't even like coaching. I don't know.
I know you've been on this. I don't know if it's a restriction, but you're coming off the bench. How's your body feeling?
I think I'm still on minute restrictions, I guess you could say. My body feels great. Just was talking to Mike. I feel like this is the best I've felt coming back now. My body's been feeling good. So making all the strides in the right direction. So feeling good.
How are you in terms of with this role off the bench and then everything that starting group has been doing? How are you sort of managing filling in that role at this point?
Just kind of seeing, how the start of the game is. If we need more energy coming in, sometimes we get off to
NBA players make great coaches. Okay. Like I said, I could be wrong on this. This isn't one of those opinions that I will fight with you guys about. Okay. I don't feel confident in it. It's just a bias I've always had, but my bias could be wrong. If now if we were talking about some other stuff, as far as how useful Jeremy Sohan is, then I will argue with that. I saw somebody said, it was a couple people that was arguing with me about this. They said that he's not worth $20 million. That Jeremy Sohan isn't worth $20 million. See, that's something I will fight with you on. What are we even talking about? Look around the league. He's that's minimum $20 million. Are you joking? $20 million will be a crazy great deal. They're like, he's worth $10 million. It's like, okay, so he's worth the same amount as Jocelyn Dale? What are we talking about? That's crazy. I don't know. I wish I had his muscles. You can have these. Just go to the gym. Blue Moon, what are you talking about? Just go to the gym, man. You can get it. The heck? He's not special. Yeah, he's an NBA athlete, but you can get muscles like that. You might not be as athletic as Devin Vassell. That might be out of reach, regardless. But, you can get muscles like that. Just go to the gym, man. I might go to the gym after I get off this live stream. It's 2 a.m. I might still go.
to a slow start. So sometimes we just need that spark off the bench, whether it's offensively or being in the passing lanes or whatever it is. So just trying to bring in that spark however I can.
Have you guys been able to figure out what's going into those slow starts?
That's a good question. We're definitely trying to figure it out. We addressed it, I want to say, last game or 2 games ago. So we obviously know it's a problem. Y'all have any ideas? Let me know.
Caffeine, a lot of caffeine.
Well, in the old days, it used to be the third quarters were the problem.
Right.
That didn't seem a problem anymore.
Right.
It's the first quarter.
Just to start off, I think, truthfully, I think if we just, they always say it, defense your way into the game. So if we're starting with getting stops, we're in transition, I think that just makes it a lot easier instead of trying to go into half-court sets, playing against a set team. They already talked about schemes and stuff like that. So if we can get out in transition, get some stops early, it'd probably be a better start.
Well, that sounds like Devin Vassell need to start again. That would be nice. What's Jeremy's contract? Right now? Bro, he's making like $5 million. Like, hold on. I would wait, but dude. Yeah, he's making $5 million. $5 million. And then next year is 7, the year after that is not. Like this is when he signs his new deal, he's worth 20, like at least. Like that's bare minimum. 20 would be a pay cut for what Jeremy brings. Are you joking? I couldn't believe people try to argue with me about that. Just look around the league. I know that, you know, you throw out numbers and you're like 20 sounds like a lot. Just look around the league. Look around the league. Freaking Boston Celtics paying like $80 million per player right now. 20 is the new 8. Yeah, 20 is like bare minimum. He's worth 20, man.
You talk about defense. There's a little bit of slippage on that end recently. What was maybe playing into that? Because y'all had a really solid start to the first quarter of the season or so.
I don't know if it's just one solid reason, you know, whether it's us playing a bunch of games, whether we weren't locked in mentally. You know, Coach Mitch had challenged us and CP challenged us, and I think we're all challenging each other to get back to, you know, not letting them get 30-point quarters and trying to just stop them.
Yeah, I'm tired of that. Our defense is too good for that. Who do you got for the season, for the in-season tournament now that we're eliminated? I don't even know who's still in the in-season tournament. Can you let me know, Liam? Let me know.
It is. So I think we're getting back to it. We had a big emphasis today, starting off the day with just straight.
He worth minimum 20, guys. Minimum, he's worth 20. He's worth more than that, but minimum you give him 20. It's insulting to go under 20 for Jeremy Sohan. I feel like if you think that he's not worth 20, you genuinely just, I don't want to say you don't know ball, but you're not aware of what guys are making around the league.
Defense, so I think we're getting back to it for sure.
Harrison said that you guys have been kind of focusing a little on ball movement, and keeping the ball moving. What does that look like? How are you working on that to improve it?
I mean, just finding the right shot, finding the open shot. Sometimes you might have a good shot, but there might be some.
And also, I'm listening, but also I think it's a matter of being spoiled as fans as well, because we've gotten so accustomed to pay cuts. I mean, Spurs are known for pay cuts, right? Where you remember Tim Duncan taking it, Manu taking it, Tony taking. I mean, we remember it. We remember all the pay cuts, right? We remember veterans coming to the Spurs for, less money or whatnot. So I think that's part of it as well. So he's worth the same as KJ's contract. He's worth more than. First off, KJ's contract is insane, right? I think KJ is worth more than his contract. I think Keldon Johnson's contract is insane. The Spurs did a great job with that. A diminishing contract is unheard of. And KJ, I think Keldon just bet on himself. But Sohan is, he's worth more than Keldon.
Somebody for a while.
And even Keldon is underpaid, in my opinion.
More for a great shot. So just getting the best shot we can each time we're coming down. I think that's the best thing we can say for that.
Yes, sorry, forgot it was trying to get it out. So I forgot to get your thoughts on Chris Paul. You guys had a celebration. What do you admire the most about Chris Paul?
I mean, just the professionalism every day coming in. You know, he's always talking to us. He's always pretty much here, the first guy. During scouts, if we're playing somebody, I think if y'all could tell, me and him pretty much sit right next to each other on the bench, and he's always in my ear telling me, you know, little tendencies what people got going on, whatever the case may be. Like, he's just so locked in. I know he's always watching basketball. If he hasn't left yet, I know he probably has a game on or watching some film somewhere. So being able to pick his brain and just learn, and you know, he's a basketball genius, truthfully. So just learning from him, you know, all the years that he's put in.
He's a basketball genius. Castle will be CP3's replacement, I think. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's a crazy accomplishment for him to be second all time, and it's just huge.
It's funny you say Castle will be CP3's replacement, but I don't even think we have to think of it that way, right? Chris Paul has said, he's on record saying he feels the most comfortable when he's on the court with Castle. Many times Castle runs the offense, and Chris Paul, you know, takes a back seat. So I don't even know if it's a matter of like replacement rather than him just taking his rightful role, honestly.
So huge congrats to him, and hopefully we can keep adding to his list.
Did he give you advice on how to have longevity? Like, do you see what it takes from him?
I mean,
I doubt he gave advice on that. That seems very specific. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's something he would have just talked about. Maybe he has.
Look at it every day, how he takes care of his body. Like I said, him coming in here early. Just a little bit of everything. I mean, I don't want to spill and say too much because, you know, CP is CP, but I mean, just the way he approaches the game, I think a lot of us can learn from him.
He said that also said that you guys hold each other accountable. In what ways do y'all hold each other accountable after the games? If you guys,
who do you think is going to win the Rookie of the Year race? I want it to be Castle so bad. I don't know. McCain's still doing well. I haven't seen his last couple games.
Just talking about stuff that, like you said, whether it was ball movement, whether it was defense, whether it was a slow start to the first.
Actually, as far as rookie ladder right now, let's see. So Castle is top 10. I did this on was this the same segment? It might have been a separate segment. It's getting late. 2 a.m. in the morning. He is top 10 rookies and playmaking talent, and then he's also number 1 in the rookie ladder as well. So yeah, it can still be Castle. It should be Castle. I think McCain gonna win it. Yeah, I think his stats are pretty good, right? And they don't base rookie of the year based on your record or anything. So we can't even pay attention to those two. So
this third quarter, I mean, it's just whatever we think good or bad, we talk about it and we just try and adjust to it so we don't make the same mistakes.
Harrison mentioned that he can tell that Mitch is growing in confidence as, you know, a big seat to fill, obviously, but growing in confidence as coach. What have you noticed in terms of how he's been able to kind of make this job his own, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, Mitch has been great. Like I said, I've worked with him since
I love questions about Mitch Johnson because we need to know as much as possible, right? Because this could legitimately end up being Pop's replacement. I don't think Pop comes back. Not me being negative, just me being realistic.
My first year, and he's been nothing but great the whole time. So I think he's, like you said, finding that voice, knowing.
How do you feel about talk about Giannis possibly coming to San Antonio? I feel like it's just overkill, right? The Spurs are trying to build a dynasty right now, and obviously Giannis coming, it will be great, it will be wonderful, it will be awesome. But he does demand a big sum of that cap space. Not to say we can't afford it, because we can, but yeah, it's just quite a few limitations, I think, for the future if you throw Giannis in the mix. Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it. And then also if you have to, because we have trade form, it would be quite a bit. I don't know. My wife is upset. No news on Pop. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get much news, to be honest with you. The only positive thing I can say about the Pop situation is Mitch Johnson a few weeks ago said that he talks to Pop, you know, and that was right after the incident. That was like a week after the incident. So I just hope he's okay. I can care less. At this point, I can care less if Pop is on that court. I can care less. I just want him to be okay. All right. He's much older. He's done a lot for the franchise. Obviously, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't all be here. We would. I was about to say we wouldn't all be here talking about the Spurs, but I don't think we'll be as positive. We'll probably all still be Spurs fans. As long as Manu Ginobili, for me, as long as Manu Ginobili was still on the Spurs, I would have been a Spurs fan initially. Maybe. I don't know. Because Spurs probably wouldn't have won as much as they did. Maybe they don't get Manu. I don't know. I have no idea. But we can say that a lot of our fond memories is basically directly because of Pop. Giannis being on the Spurs would be great, but it ain't going to happen. I'm not. We'll kill our future if we got Giannis. I just don't see a point in doing it. It seems overkill. It seems like a desperate move. You know, you don't have to do that. Don't be, well, I guess the Mavs went to the finals, but they didn't win the finals. I guess we'll see how this season goes. But just try not to be the Mavs. I don't think Giannis is a good fit. Giannis dominates anywhere he goes, you know. I think he's talented enough where you don't have to necessarily worry about does he fit as well when we don't even have a great idea of what. Yeah, I don't know.
And when to get, you know, when we have a slow start, I want to say last game he was very animated, and how do I say it like that? So, like I said, I think just him finding his voice, him knowing how to push each other. You know, sometimes it's screaming, sometimes it's just challenging us. And
Mandy, I would have been able to answer that before with confidence. Now I have no idea. You said, do you think we'll make a trade before the trade deadline? Before I would have said Chris Paul. But it seems like he's enjoying his time so much with us right now, and I don't think the Spurs would want to part ways with them. I have no idea. Is it possible they make a trade at trade deadline? Sure. But the Spurs, they don't get too antsy with things like that. You know, it has to be worth it. It has to be absolutely worth it. And if it's not absolutely worth it, they don't mind waiting it out until we look at our draft position and then see if we can make some moves in that during the offseason. So I don't know. If I had to put my money on it, I'm going to say we don't make a trade at trade deadline. But, you know, before I would have said Chris Paul easily. But I don't know now.
At the end of the day, he's been doing great. So, you know, I appreciate him and look forward to these next couple, however long.
Can you tell that he's becoming more assertive? Like, is it one of those things where maybe he was a little quieter at first? And
very animated in the timeout. That's all I'm saying.
Kevin, I noticed on the defensive side, since coming back, you're a lot more active. You seem to be, you know.
Giannis would fit Wemby rarely in the paint anyway. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Like I said, I'm not really worried about fit when it comes to Giannis. I mean, it'll be fine. He's literally Giannis, you know. It's not really something you really worry about. I just think it's not necessary. I just don't think it's necessary. I think that's a panic move.
Really locked in.
It's going to take a lot to get him. It's going to take a lot to put him on this roster. So, a lot of sacrifices.
Is that an area that you worked on while you were out?
Truthfully, I mean, as much as I want to say yes, I really couldn't with all the, you know, I was limited to do a bunch of stuff. But I think just me being healthy, me being able to, you know, my knees feeling good, my foot's feeling good, me being able to be mobile again, I think that's just really was one of the lingering factors of me being able to just get in the passing lanes and be the defender that I know I can be. So, like I said, I feel great, so I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
Has Mitch been your pregame workout guy? Is that?
Mike.
You don't know that.
Pretty much through everything, player development, even when I do little workouts, I've been Mike. So.
King Capo says, he was responding to someone in the chat, it's a gamble as far as like giving away all our picks or whatnot. He said that's a gamble when it comes to picks. We don't know if those future draft picks will even be good. You can't really think like that. He said I would definitely take Giannis over those picks. You don't know that. Now the odds of those picks, you know, being as good as Giannis, like every single pick being as good as Giannis, I don't know about that. But the odds of the sum of these picks, really solid picks, you know, adding to a dynasty, not just a championship or two, but a genuine dynasty, I think that your odds are a little bit higher there, you know. You can't look at picks are very valuable in the NBA for a reason. To teams don't just give them up willy-nilly. That's what I was trying to say. I can't speak. Willy-nilly. And that was one of the reasons why, like, think about the Atlanta Hawks picks, right? The reason why this is so insane is because it was so dumb for them to give up all those picks for DeJounte Murray. You know, at the time, you know, DeJounte Murray being an all-star and them thinking, oh, we can get back to the finals and be super successful. Of course, I would take DeJounte Murray over. I'm not saying DeJounte's on the level of Giannis, but of course, I would take DeJounte Murray, you know, over these picks. But now I think they think way differently, right? They would definitely want those picks. So you can't just freely give away your picks and just say we're good, you know? And even the way that the Spurs have set up their picks is actually really impressive. Like the fact that they trade away their 8th overall this in this past draft, and they end up getting, let me make sure we got it, the 2028 and the 2030. I think those were the two. Was it 2030 and 2031? It might have been 2030 and 2031. That seems like it's so far away, which it is. It's a good chunk away. But around that time, the Spurs know what they're doing. Around this time, we're not going to have good picks, right? Our timeline, we are not going to have good picks by that year. But Minnesota, at that point, they could very well fall off, right? They're trying to do their winning now. They could very well fall off by that time. And then you have 2 great picks right here. And you're constantly adding to the roster, even though you're in the mix for championships. Like that would be insane being able to do that. Or, you know, it could be another effect where, okay, you know, the 2030, 2031 drafts don't look that great right now. Minnesota's still doing their thing. Well, you can trade those away and bring some veterans to the team to prolong, you know, your winning. So these first round picks are very important, and I wouldn't just say, yeah, whatever, get rid of all of them and bring Giannis. Yeah, instant gratification for sure. You know, we'll enjoy the next few years, but the Spurs want a dynasty, and you don't want to just throw it off. Bulls pick might still convey. Yeah, Bulls pick might still convey this upcoming draft. Now, if you're talking about getting rid of the Hornets one, bro, I think we probably could get rid of the Hornets one if you wanted to. I think it turns into doesn't it turn into a second next year? I think it turns into a second next year. Their pick has not been conveying. Giannis is 30 and is a slasher type player. How long he got left? Sure, he'd be good for a few years, but we want to compete for the next 20 years. Yeah. We're expecting Wemby to have a very lengthy career, and I mean Giannis could play for a very long time from here, right? But it just doesn't seem. It just seems like overkill. It seems like a panic move. You don't have to do that right now. Wemby's prime starts in 4 to 5 years minimum. Giannis will be 35. Yeah, Giannis will be a little bit older. It's just not worth it. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So yes. Ideally. First, because how good Giannis is, how historically good Giannis is, ideally, the next few first round picks that we get won't stack up to Giannis, right? In their career. Maybe they won't end up being as good as Giannis. But all of these picks put together, maybe not some of these seconds, but all these picks put together, you can create something really special, right? Even if a big chunk of these first round picks end up being role players, you can have something special there. So you don't want to just throw away picks and just say, they're just a number. You know, teams fight tooth and nail to acquire picks. It takes a lot to get any team to come off of their picks. So I would not just, that's all I have to say about that. So I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. You are right. I do believe that all these picks, I mean, I can make that bet and probably win it, that none of the picks that the Spurs have up to 2031 will end up being a Giannis. I mean, sure. None of the picks the Spurs end up having end up being a Duncan, and you know that Giannis is that level of greatness. You know, he's not. I don't think he's better than Duncan, but you know, he's one of the greatest ever. So Spurs wasn't really known for making trades for one superstar. No, they've never really done that. You know, as long as I've been a Spurs fan, I haven't seen them do anything crazy like that. If anything, we definitely would trade those 26 second rounds. We have like 8 of those, assuming Bulls and Hornets didn't convey this year. I don't think the Hornets will convey. I think Chicago's turns into a first next year. I think Chicago's turned into a first next year if it doesn't convey this year. I could be wrong on that. But Hornets, yeah, pretty sure that's a second. But yeah, 2026, we got like what, 4 right now? Yeah, 4. You can trade those bad boys away. But yeah. What did Kevin say? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've responded to that already. I just saw it. Let's see. Didn't we pay Richard Jefferson $20 million? He was terrible. He ended up being a decent role player, but like, Spurs at that time, you know, we were on the brink of championship team, right? Trying to get back into the finals, and we desperately needed a small forward. That's what I mean. You know, you get desperate, you need something, but I don't think he made 20. It seemed like quite a bit. Crap. Okay, this is it. Yeah, he didn't make 20. His first year with the Spurs, he made 4. Oh, wait. No, it was 20. Wait. What's the asterisk for? Current US dollars adjusted. Oh, okay. Yeah, today it would have been 20. So, yeah, that makes sense. 14, 20 today. Yeah, he would have been worth, at that time, he would have been worth that, I think. So he made his most in his career with the Spurs, but not by that much. And then his second year, 8, and then year after that, 9. So yeah, he would have been, at this point, he would have been worth 20. And he was another player that had already been to the finals. So with the Nets, you guys remember that. I don't have to tell you about that. You remember. Which contract was worse, Gasol, Jefferson, or Zach Collins? Gosh, I had to remember Pau Gasol's. I feel like Pau Gasol's contract was pretty nice, man. Pau Gasol salaries. I'm gonna go with Pau's. Do I want to go with Pau's? I guess I would have to go back and look at what guys were making around that time. But it got to a point where were we even really utilizing them? It's kind of a similar thing, man, honestly, because Pau Gasol, the issue that we're having with Collins is kind of the same thing that happened with Pau, at least in my opinion. It seemed as if we really needed them to be more of a stretch. And yeah, let's see. Man, that's a tough one. I don't know which one's worse. I mean, the Spurs just straight up released Pau Gasol, right? Gasol was a disappointment for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pau. I feel like the expectations for Zach Collins aren't the same they were for Pau Gasol, right? I'm gonna go with Pau being the worst contract. All right, in a segment. All right. Some good talks, man. Gasol was a little too old. Yeah, he definitely was. No disrespect to our boy, but yeah, he was up there, man. He was definitely up there. I would like his brother better. Who are we talking about? We were contending for a championship when Gasol was around. Pop barely used him because of LaMarcus, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it just hit a little bit harder at that time. Everyone knows that Zach Collins is just a placeholder. Around that time, we were trying to win a championship, so I still hold to Pau Gasol being a little bit more disappointing. Expectations were higher. His brother Mark. Oh yeah, Marc Gasol was a monster. Now I think Pau Gasol in his prime is a better player than Marc Gasol, but yeah, when Pau Gasol was on the decline, Mark was really good. When did Mark stop playing? He's one of those I just didn't pay attention. After he left Memphis, I just did not keep up. When did he stop playing? It's crazy how both of them played for Memphis. And to being stars for Memphis, that's crazy. Hey, has anyone played I want to know this. Has anyone played Marvel Rivals? And I know it's like super new and it's free and everything, you know, so I'm sure people have played it. So is it good? Should I check it out? I downloaded it and I've been on the fence on whether or not to play it. But I have it downloaded, so I just want to know if people thought it was fun or not. For a little context, I'm actually I was a huge Overwatch fan until Overwatch. To this past Overwatch, till Overwatch 2. I feel like Overwatch 2 is horrible. Like, they ruined everything. The mechanics of, you know, team balls just disappeared in that. Play on stream. No, it seems popular to play on stream. I can. Let's see, what would be a good day to play on stream? I guess we could do it tomorrow. I need to schedule all my stuff pretty well tomorrow so I can do that. Because I did not study any Japanese today, guys, and that is not good. Nor do I have any time to now. It's like 3 in the morning. So I have to do that. But yeah, I could play it. I could play it tomorrow. Maybe I'll play 2 games. Maybe we'll do Sparking and then a little Marvel. I don't know. We'll see. Was it tomorrow? It wasn't tomorrow. It was Thursday night. We had a Thursday night stream. Marc Gasol and Grant Hill were the players I most wanted to see in San Antonio. That is cool. The only thing I don't like having a hard time finding the games. Oh, the Spurs games? Man, just type in NBA Reddit. I'll be honest with you. Just type in NBA Reddit on Google. You'll find it. Like, League Pass is so bad, and I had it for a minute, but like it closes out all the time. It's always breaking. I'm just like, what's the point of this? So now I just jump on there and just stream it from my phone onto my television and just call it a day. You can play Duolingo at the same time. Yeah, that would be a good idea. I don't do Duolingo though. I heard bad things about Duolingo. The main thing is I just don't want to waste my time, you know? Like I'm doing things that have been proven to work, and that's all I'm really worried about right now. So I've been doing Anki. Haven't really went full on immersion yet, so I need to do that as well. But I'm trying to I'm making sure I listen to Japanese every day. But I don't think I've been in my mode where like I'm obsessed with it yet. So I need to get in my mode where I'm obsessed with it. That's when you're really successful, when you become like really obsessed with something. I wanted LeBron. If everyone is healthy, what should the starting lineup be? I think I'm going with the most obvious. I mean, at this point, I'm going with the most obvious. Steph. I'm sorry. Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Steph Castle, Sohan Wemby. Or if you don't want to do Sohan Wemby, Barnes and Wemby, but I'm going to go with Sohan Wemby. Is it hard learning Japanese? I am not a professional person to tell you this, but it has been known that Japanese is one of the hardest languages for English learners or English speakers to learn. And it's because everything's backwards. Like the way that Japanese sentences are structured is much different than how our sentences are structured. Like sometimes it seems as if, at least this is what I'm seeing, and I could be wrong, talk to someone who actually speaks Japanese. But from what I'm seeing or what I've been hearing and what, studying, it really seems like these sentences don't necessarily fit for me, because I'm used to my English mind. Doesn't seem like full sentences, but they are full sentences and make complete sense, right? And a lot of it seems backwards at times, like almost like it's Yoda speak. The way we would say something just shows up different. And there's like, for instance, we might mention what's going on, in the sentence at the beginning of the sentence, and theirs is at the end. So it's just different. Clan, how come you don't play 2K? Because 2K is so boring now. I could hop on and play 2K, I guess. Maybe we can do that this weekend. I got a lot to do, but maybe we can do it this weekend. But I would much rather play something else. I would much rather play Marvel Rivals or, something different. But I don't know. Castle over Barnes? LL, that's not happening. Yeah. Well, Mitch Johnson's the coach, so who knows? But yeah, I think Castle should start. I don't think he should stop starting. Castle at small forward is totally fine right now. It's not the full game. Right? Obviously, Chris Paul will be the first to sit and keep Castle out there, and then you can bring in Barnes. For sure, we can run 2K. Let me know. Yeah, we'll see. If you got Sparking Zero, I'll run these hands on Sparking Zero for sure. I don't mind doing that. What's your PSN? Clandestinity 94. Here, I'll type it in the chat. Do you have Sparking Zero? Oops, you spelled it right. Clan, I've wondered where you live. Looks like East Texas. I am not from Texas. I'm originally from Tennessee. I'm not from Texas. Never lived in Texas a day in my life. But hopefully, in the next couple years, I'll be living in Japan. That's the plan. But I'm really excited to go visit. I'm going to visit Japan this summer. And then I want to, if I'm digging it, which I'm sure I will. My partner, she's actually half Japanese, so she's lived there at some point. Even harder than learning Chinese. I never learned Chinese. I don't know. Let's see. Hardest languages to learn for English speakers. Let's see here. Mandarin, Arabic, Japanese. Japanese grammar can be tricky because it only has 2 tenses, past and non-past. Yeah. So like a lot of like they could be talking about the present or the future. Turkish, Navajo. Other difficult languages to learn. Korean, Finnish. But Japanese is right there. You were going to the gym and did your live in the car? What are you talking about? Oh, I was live streaming and it looks like I was from East Texas. I don't know. A lot of places in America look similar, so. I remember Sparking Zero, good old days. Oh, I'm hopping back on there, don't worry. I've gotten better. The only thing I'm worried about now is if the stream will be strong. Talk about Dibantis's favorable teams are the Spurs and Magic. I already did. I'll upload that segment tomorrow. All right, hopping off. I'll give it you guys later, man. I was gonna go to the gym, but gosh, I'm kind of sleepy now. I'll give it you guys later. All love.